Most people react to life, they don't lead it. Something goes wrong and they spiral. Someone disrespects them and they lose the rest of the day. An unexpected problem appears and their mood collapses. Their mind is running on autopilot, triggered by whatever happens to hit it first, pulled in every direction, controlled by everything except the person it belongs to. A trained mind is different. A trained mind doesn't stop getting hit. It gets hit and stays clear. It faces the same chaos, the same pressure, the same difficult people, and it doesn't break. Not because it feels nothing, because it has learned something that most people never figure out. Your response to any situation is a skill, and skills can be trained. This video is about training that skill. Not in theory. In practice, you will walk away with a system. 5 principles that, applied consistently, will change how you handle every difficult moment you face from this point forward. Let's get into it. Principle 1. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. Most people make a fundamental mistake. They believe every thought that appears in their mind. Someone cuts them off in traffic and a thought appears. This person is an idiot. And they immediately become angry because they treated that thought as fact. Their boss gives them critical feedback and a thought appears. I'm not good enough. And they go home carrying that thought as truth. Their plans fall apart and a thought appears. Nothing ever works for me. And they believe it. The mistake is identification. They fuse with every thought that passes through. They assume that because a thought appeared in their mind, it must represent reality. It doesn't. Your mind generates thoughts constantly, tens of thousands per day. Most of them are noise, reactions, patterns from the past, fears about the future, stories built from incomplete information. The thought is not the situation. The thought is your mind's first unfiltered attempt to make sense of the situation. And that first attempt is almost always wrong, incomplete, or borrowed from an old experience that has nothing to do with what's happening now. Here is what the trained mind understands. You are not the thought. You are the one who notices the thought. There is a version of you that is always a step back from what the mind produces, observing it, evaluating it, deciding whether to believe it or set it aside. That observer is who you actually are, and the gap between the thought appearing and you deciding what to do with it, that gap is where your entire power lives. Training this begins with one practice. When a difficult thought appears, don't argue with it. Don't try to replace it with something positive. Simply notice it. Name it. That thought appeared. That's all it is. A thought that appeared. It is not an instruction. It is not a verdict. It is data. And you decide what to do with it. Start doing this today. Every time you catch yourself reacting, pause. Notice the thought that triggered the reaction. Ask, is this actually true, or is this just the first thing my mind produced? That question, practiced daily, builds the most important mental muscle you will ever develop. Principle 2, control the controllable. Release everything else. Here is one of the most useless things a person can do. Spend energy on something they cannot change. And here is something that will shock you when you actually track it. The majority of what most people worry about, argue about, and feel bad about falls entirely outside their control. They are upset about the weather, upset about traffic, upset about what someone else said, upset about what someone else thinks of them, upset about the economy, about politics, about the past, about things that happened years ago and cannot be undone. They are at war with reality, and they are losing, and they will always lose, because reality does not negotiate. The trained mind draws a sharp line. On one side, things I can control. On the other, things I cannot. What you control, your effort, your attitude, your preparation, how you respond, what you say, what you focus on, what you practice, what you choose to do with the next hour. What you do not control, other people's opinions, outcomes, timing, luck, how others behave, what has already happened. The practice is not indifference. You are allowed to care about outcomes. You are allowed to want things to go well. The practice is in where you put your energy. Pour it into your column, the things you control, and release everything outside it. Not because you don't care, because fighting what you cannot change is a guaranteed way to exhaust yourself without producing a single result. Every morning before the day begins, ask yourself this question: what is actually in my control today? Write the answer down. Then spend your energy there exclusively. Let everything else move however it moves. You will be surprised how much lighter a day becomes when you stop carrying things that were never yours to carry. Principle 3. Build the pause before the response. The most expensive thing most people do is react immediately. Someone says something offensive and they reply in 3 seconds. A difficult email arrives and they respond while they're still angry. A plan falls apart and they make a decision while still in shock. They give their worst response at the exact moment when a good response would cost them nothing to deliver, and then they spend days cleaning up the damage. The trained mind has a different operating system. It has a pause built in between the stimulus and the response. That pause is not weakness. That pause is not passivity. That pause is the most powerful thing a person can develop. Here is why. Your first reaction to anything difficult is almost always generated by your emotional brain, the part that evolved to respond to threats quickly. That part of your brain is very fast and very bad at nuance. It sees a social situation as a threat. It sees criticism as an attack. It sees uncertainty as danger. And it generates responses accordingly: defensive, aggressive, panicked. Your best thinking comes from a different part of the brain. The part that can see the situation fully, consider consequences, understand other people's perspectives, and generate a response that actually serves you. But that part is slower. It needs a moment. The pause gives it that moment. You don't need long. 3 seconds is enough in most situations. 3 seconds of doing nothing, no speaking, no reacting, no deciding, just breathing, just letting the first emotional wave pass. In those 3 seconds, you shift from being operated by your reaction to operating from your judgment. And the difference in outcome between those 2 states is enormous. Build this habit in low-stakes situations first. When someone says something you disagree with in a conversation, wait 3 seconds before responding. When you get a message that irritates you, close the app before you reply. When something doesn't go to plan, sit with it for a moment before your next move. Practice the pause when it costs nothing, so it's available when it costs everything. Principle 4. Make pressure your training ground, not your enemy. Here is the truth about pressure. It doesn't reveal weakness, it reveals what's already there. When pressure is applied to something strong, that thing holds. When pressure is applied to something fragile, it breaks. Pressure is just a force. What breaks or doesn't break under it was already the thing it was, before the pressure arrived. Most people experience pressure as an enemy, something to escape, to minimize, to complain about. They wish their circumstances were easier. They wish people would stop demanding things from them. They wish life would give them a break. The trained mind sees pressure differently. It sees pressure as the mechanism by which strength is built. You do not get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by meeting it. Every difficult situation you face is the training. Every uncomfortable conversation is a repetition. Every moment when things go wrong and you handle it anyway, that is, you building the mental capacity to handle the next thing, and the next, and the next, this doesn't mean you have to enjoy difficulty. You don't. What it means is that you stop relating to it as evidence that something is wrong. Difficulty is not a sign that your life is broken. Difficulty is the curriculum. You are being trained by everything that is hard. The most capable people you know did not become capable in comfort. They became capable in the moments when they had every reason to collapse and chose not to. The next time something hard arrives, and it will, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What is this building in me? How will having handled this make me better equipped for the next version of this? Pressure is not the problem. Your relationship with pressure is the problem. Change that relationship and you change everything. Principle 5, who you become in the process is the point. Most people are focused entirely on the outcome. They want the result, the achievement, the success, the finished thing, and they view everything that happens on the way there as an obstacle or a tax on the destination. They are missing the actual value. The trained mind understands something that takes most people years to grasp. The outcome is temporary, but who you become, getting there, is permanent. Think about anything you've worked hard for and eventually achieved. The achievement felt good. For a while, then it became the new normal. The satisfaction faded. And you needed the next thing. This is universal. Every person who has achieved anything significant will tell you the same thing. The arrival was not what they thought it would be, but who they became on the way there. That stayed. The discipline they built, the resilience they developed, the capacity to tolerate discomfort, the ability to think clearly under pressure, the relationships they built through shared difficulty. That remained, that compounded into the next thing and the next. If you train your mind only for results, you will always be dissatisfied. Results come and go. They are never as permanent or as satisfying as you imagined. But if you train your mind to show up fully, to do the work at the highest level you're capable of, to meet difficulty without flinching, to grow through what you go through, then every outcome, good or bad, adds something to you that cannot be taken away. The question is not whether you win today. The question is whether you become stronger today. That shift from outcome-focused to growth-focused is the deepest mental shift you can make, and it's available right now in whatever situation you're currently in. 5 principles. 1 trained mind. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. Control what you can and release what you cannot. Build the pause before the response. Make pressure your training ground, and understand that who you become in the process is the actual point. None of this is complicated. All of it requires repetition. The difference between the person who reads this and feels something for an hour and the person who reads this and changes something permanently is not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not circumstance, it's whether they take one of these principles and practice it today. Tomorrow, every day after that, until it becomes the default way they operate, your mind is not fixed. It is a system, and systems can be retrained, but only by the person willing to do the training. That's you. Start today.